Senator Klobuchar outlined the topics. Let me start at the beginning. What is broadband? Why should it matter? A year ago, 2 years ago, and still today, a lot of people aren't even really sure what broadband is. Well, of course, it's high-speed internet. And it is, I believe, as important to the U.S. in the 21st century as electricity was in the 20th century. Indispensable infrastructure that is and will reshape our economy and our lives. So broadband first is our 21st century platform for economic opportunity. Studies show that even modest increases in broadband adoption spur economic growth and create jobs. There's no question that broadband is essential to the success of small businesses, opening up new markets where small businesses can sell their products, helping small businesses lower their costs through services that are available on the cloud, vital to small businesses. As I travel around the country and learn about examples, we heard some of them before, there's some of them on the panel, but whether it's a butcher in rural Nebraska that, because broadband was available in its community, was able to sell its products outside of its home market, triple its revenues, double its employees in a short period of time, even in this economy. Or a farmer in Pennsylvania who I met who said, when I grew up, the last thing that I thought had any relevance to what I do are computers and connectivity. Today, farmers can't do their jobs without broadband. So economic opportunity, broadband is essential. Civic participation in the 21st century, freedom of expression, the ability to participate in government, improving government services. Our information grid will be essential. Solutions to major challenges like healthcare, education, public safety. All of these rely on a healthy, robust broadband ecosystem. All of these opportunities, economic growth, opportunities for small businesses, for education, for healthcare, are particularly important in rural America when you think about broadband. And particularly important for us to develop policies that tackle the real opportunities and the real challenges. Let's talk about challenges. The U.S., I just saw this, I was looking at the Minnesota Broadband Plan, and it has some terrific charts, and some of you may have heard these numbers, that show that the U.S. is lagging globally when it comes to broadband. And so the Minnesota Broadband Plan has tables that show OECD studies that rank the U.S. In the plan, I think it was 15th. Since then, we've dropped to 18th according to the OECD. There are other studies that show similar statistics. There's some people who say maybe those studies aren't apples to apples, but I have to tell you, you can discount that by a half, and it's not good enough. There's another study that I'd like to mention briefly because it concerns me a lot, and it informs a lot of what we're working on at the FCC. This is a study that looked at 40 industrial countries and ranked them, including the U.S., on a series of metrics relating to competitiveness and innovative capacity. And broadband was a key part of those metrics. That particular study looked at some other things, our education system. That particular study ranked the U.S. 6th out of 40 on a snapshot basis. And some of you are saying, 6, that's not so bad. Well, I disagree with you if you think that. But that's also not what's really important about this study. The study then looked at each of these metrics and measured the rate of change in these metrics. All the countries were getting better on broadband, but it measured the rate of change. And on that metric, the U.S. ranked 40th out of 40. And this is what should concern us as we think about our economy in the 21st century. Standing still on broadband is falling behind. One other point that I think is important for people to understand. I talked about the opportunities of broadband for creating jobs, for getting healthcare remotely to people who don't have specialists in their community, education, whether it's remote tutoring, connecting schools with teachers, a world of information that's on the internet. Let me for a minute talk about the costs of digital exclusion. One of the reasons that I think it's so important that Senator Klobuchar called this summit today, and so important that there's the focus on broadband, is that the costs of digital exclusion are rising. And so, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, if you were looking for a job and you didn't have access to the internet, it was a problem, but you could probably find the job posting and you could probably figure out a way to apply for the job. Today, if you're looking for a job and you don't have access to the internet, you're at a real disadvantage. More and more job postings are moving online. We know this. Some of our work showed that among our largest companies in the United States, more than 3/4 of them are doing all of their job postings online. And they're requiring people to submit their job applications online. None of this sounds crazy. Unless you don't have internet access, and then you don't have the opportunities. If you don't have digital skills, you don't have a chance. The costs of digital exclusion are rising, and we need to tackle it. You can think about this from a small business perspective. Some of the examples that the Senator and I have talked about, whether it's a butcher or a bakery or others, examples of companies that are using the internet to advance. Well, 10 years ago, if you were a small business and you weren't on the internet, okay, we can debate how much of a problem that was. Today, it's not a debate. If you're a small business and you don't have broadband access, if you don't have broadband skills, you're at a competitive disadvantage. You're at a real disadvantage. And we need to tackle those issues. As we studied broadband, we found really two sets of problems, and we'll come back to these, I think, on the panel. There are parts of the country that just don't have broadband infrastructure. It's a minority of the country, but it's over 24 million Americans who have no broadband at all. And there's a significant number here in Minnesota that just have no broadband infrastructure. Even if they wanted to connect, they couldn't. Senator Klobuchar mentioned our national average on broadband adoption. That's 66% right now. Too low. In a world where Singapore is at 90%, where we need everyone who participates in our economy, in our education system, in our healthcare system to have broadband access, it's too low. If we're going to lead the world in economic growth, investment, innovation, and job creation in the 21st century, we need broadband that is fast, affordable, and open. Achieving these goals, including preserving internet freedom, is essential for consumers, entrepreneurs, small businesses, everywhere. Internet users, not service providers, should be deciding what content and services they get when they go on the internet. Entrepreneurs, innovators, whether there's someone with an idea for a new business, or a small business that has an idea for expanding their existing business, need to be able to access an open internet to be able to participate and thrive in a 21st century economy. So for these reasons, I was very pleased that Senator Klobuchar called this summit today.